A motion of no confidence filed against Democratic Labour Party leader Dr. Ronnie Yearwood. A community leader wants urgent action to address an upsurge of violent incidents in the Pine. Efforts continue to maximize the potential benefits from the blue and green economy. And in sports, Kraigg Brathwaite falls short of a double as Barbados piles on runs against the Leewards.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowie. A major development tonight in the Democratic Labour Party. A no-confidence motion has been filed against the party leader, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, and the entire Executive Council. As a result, an urgent meeting has been scheduled. Sharika Griffith has been following this story and filed this report.
The letter dated April 8, 2024, which has been widely circulated on social media, calls for the removal of the party's Executive Council. It's addressed to the party's General Secretary and signed by Hartley C. Reid, a member of the Democratic Labour Party's St. Michael Northwest branch. CBC reached out to Mr. Reid, who confirmed the letter is authentic.
I did submit a letter expressing my dissatisfaction of what is the actions of the President and the General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, and submitted a resolution of no confidence, which that was done yesterday, Wednesday. So that is all I can say officially on it, because I have not received any correspondence from the secretariat of my party, the Democratic Labour Party, as to the way forward, whether they are going to have a meeting or not.
The two-page document accuses DLP General Secretary Steve Blackett and President and party leader Dr. Ronnie Yearwood of refusing to accept the section of the party's constitution which establishes the post of political leader, a post now held by opposition leader Ralph Thorne, who recently crossed the floor and rejoined the DLP. It also charges that Dr. Yearwood and Mr. Blackett continually fail to give proper guidance to the executive and general councils. It further alleges that Mr. Thorne was never informed of an invitation to attend St. Lucia's opposition party's anniversary celebrations, while photos posted on social media show Dr. Yearwood in attendance. Calling the actions gross misconduct and falsehood, the letter requests an urgent special general meeting to allow party members to discuss the no-confidence motion and rule on the behavior of the President, General Secretary, and potentially members of the Executive Council. When CBC reached out to Dr. Yearwood for comment, he directed us to contact the General Secretary, who he said was the Chief Administrator of the party. But calls to Mr. Blackett went unanswered. The party's political leader, Ralph Thorne, also declined to comment. CBC has been reliably informed an emergency Executive Council meeting has been scheduled for this evening. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Well, joining us now to provide some insight into the development is political scientist Dr. George Brathwaite. Dr. Brathwaite, good evening.
Good evening, Pearson. How are you? And good evening, Barbados.
Well, thank you for asking. What was your initial reaction to this call for a no-confidence vote against Dr. Yearwood and the entire DLP executive?
I found it to be a serious matter and very concerning. I also recognize that the Democratic Labour Party apparently does not understand the whole notion of strategic communication and political marketing. It is something you have to do if you want to keep yourself viable while in opposition and being seen by the public as an alternative to the government. Indeed, I think they continue to put ego above the DLP as an organization, as an institution, as a matured institution, and they're operating sort of like rookies in this in the politics of Barbados. Barbados needs vibrant democracy. We are in an era where everything is instantaneous in terms of social media and the various outlets in terms of where you're getting information and persons are talking. The only way the Democratic Labour Party is going to settle things is if they start to think internally, look at the ramifications of all their words and actions, and present themselves in a serious manner to the people of Barbados. The people of Barbados demand that. In fact, they have been asking for that for the last at least 10 years, almost 10 years. And if the Democratic Labour Party continues with these types of shenanigans, they will continue to not only dig the grave that they're digging, but they'll start to cover it themselves. It is most unfortunate.
Does this play into what some would consider to be a divide among supporters of the party?
Realistically, factions appear in all political parties. How you deal with the factionalism that exists makes the difference. And again, what are the objectives and goals of the political party? What is the intent? How have you accepted a new member or a member crossing the floor and assuming leadership? Remember, prior to the crossing the floor by Mr. Thorne, they were already questioning the legitimacy, the very legitimacy of Dr. Yearwood and being able to capture the presidency. Barbadians thought that was solved, and at least certainly from last year in August, we thought that was solved. And now to come with these types of shenanigans, these are things that need to be done in-house. There need to be collaboration with the executive, with the elders. You need to be able to be bringing everyone on board, and at least hearing their voices, hearing their complaints, and forging a way forward.
Do you see
constantly?
Yes. Do you see this as what you describe it as, or is it simply democracy in action?
You know, one can perceive that this is democracy in action if you're going to be constantly being able to expose your dirty laundry. That's transparent. But realistically, it is not good political marketing. Neither is it strategic communication, particularly in terms of, you need financing, you need your electorate to capture the imagination of the electorate. You need to be able to mobilize your own people, those you lost over the last few years, new ones. So seriously, you have to contemplate your messaging. Understand what type of messages are you sending to the general public, and they're not doing a good job at it.
Well, we understand the meeting is in progress. We'll, of course, await its outcome. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Brathwaite. In other news
thank
tonight,
you very much for inviting me. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. In other news tonight, a community leader in the Pine is calling for urgent action to address a recent upsurge of violence in the area. Ivan Speed Ford says the increase of violent incidents in the Pine may be as a result of disputes involving young people. We have a report.
65-year-old Ivan Speed Ford, who has called the Pine St. Michael his home for the majority of his life, is concerned about the level of violence taking place in the neighbourhood. The community leader said he believes to arrest the situation, leaders of organised groups must sit at the round table and discuss ways to resolve the vexing issue. He is of the view that since this is not the first time residents of the Pine have faced such a situation, they can overcome the current challenge.
Once things happen in Pine, it be a whole row in Barbados, because now we're a stagnated community. People have even violence, we try to clear it. But in the Pine, we try to settle things, You can settle things, the way you got to do it, obviously, you got all the top heads, the blocks, the men on the blocks and things that man and man respect, and things. They got Muslims here, you got Rastas there, you got Christians who'll be there. I think get them to merge together and talk about the community, you know, get the community back healthy. Because the community is sick now, we know it's sick, and when the community is sick, it's a serious thing. But we went through these sort of waters already, and we cleared them up.
On Friday, March 29th, 32-year-old Patrick Best of Hilton Row, Princess Royal Avenue, The Pine, was shot in his head and arm while watching television in the backyard of a residence in that area. Best, who was one of 2 men shot, died while undergoing treatment at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Mere days later, on April 6, 2 men were taken to the hospital after being shot and critically injured at Martins Road, also in The Pine. The recent incidents led to a Member of Parliament for the area, Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, declaring that she was generally concerned about gun violence in the area. Ms. Bradshaw told another section of the media that it's also becoming increasingly difficult to identify the trouble spots in the community. The Member of Parliament said that residents are afraid of what they're seeing taking place in front of them. She declared that the issue of gun violence must be addressed frontally, not only in The Pine, but across the island. Agreeing with those sentiments, Mr. Ford added that he wants to see more community-oriented activities in The Pine to distract the youth from getting involved in wrongdoings.
The people that are running, who feel that there's haze around The Pine now, all of them is Boy Scouts. You need soldiers, you know. For the last couple of years, the Pine has sank. We get sick. No one can get nothing going. Everything, nothing happening in the area. So what we got to do now, we got to try to bring it back to the spirit. We got to bring it alive. And things like this here, things happen for a reason, you know. That's how I believe in life. And it's things like this here now. It's to make we come together as one, as the way you say, the best community in the world. You understand? I don't feel there's a community world like the Pine community. The talent that we got here.
Mr. Ford said, as he has done before, he is willing to lead the charge to get the Pine community back on track. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
2 men have been added to the police wanted list. Rafael Diogo Noel, alias Sniper Gang, and Leon Seymour Freeman, alias Evil or Black Boy, are wanted for questioning in connection with criminal matters. The 2 wanted men have been advised they can present themselves to the Criminal Investigations Department at the Oistins Police Station, accompanied by an attorney at law. Anyone who may know the whereabouts of Rafael Diogo Noel and Leon Seymour Freeman is asked to contact Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477, or the nearest police station. We'll take a break here, but coming up, efforts underway to ensure a robust cruise tourism season this year. Government is looking at establishing a network for what is expected to be a prosperous cruise tourism season for the island. It's all happening through the attendance of tourism officials at this year's Sea Trade Conference at the Miami Beach Convention Center in Florida. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Edghill, leading a Barbadian delegation at the conference, took the opportunity to hold fruitful discussions with the numerous cruise partners and travel agents who were present. Minister Gooding-Edghill noted that they are already seeing positive signs of interest.
The response was fantastic. We're seeing a lot of growth in respect of the cruise business. We were able not only to introduce the Chief Executive Officer, but also to discuss other strategies with a view of promoting additional cruise business to the destination.
Well, as you just heard, also present and making her first public appearance at the event was Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.'s new Chief Executive Officer, Andrea Franklin. She stressed that the contingent comprising local cruise and ground operators have been creating a buzz.
We have Foster Nitz Cruises joining us. As you know, they are one of the main port agents on island. We also have MC Yachting. We have Platinum Port Agency. We have Suntours Barbados and Island Safari. We also have St. James Travel, and then we have our Garrison Consortium group as well. So we have a cross-section in terms of our ground operators as well as the attractions joining us here at Sea Trade this year.
There's a call for officials to do more to enhance the skill sets of citizens as a push to advance the blue and green economies intensifies. Chief Executive Officer of Sports Barbados, Mark Hill, made the point during his presentation on Day 2 of the ongoing National Symposium on the Just Transition and Job Creation in the Green and Blue Economy at the Hilton. We get more in this report from Rianne Phillips.
Blue, green, what does that mean? Those are colors. What we need is a design skill set to be able to know how to start a process, work through a process, and finish that process with a new output. That is what we need.
That's Chief Executive Officer of Sports Barbados, Mark Hill, speaking about the approach needed to build out the blue and green economy. But he notes achieving it could present some challenges.
Moving our people to the necessary skills, the necessary expertise, the scientific expertise that we need to compete. There's a resistance to upgrading our skill sets across the board at a human resource level to the kind of skill sets that we need to compete.
The Sports Barbados CEO also reveals Barbados is lagging behind other countries with regards to its manufacturing processes.
When it comes down to 3.0, which was automation, only 2 companies in Barbados upgraded to automation, and they're not owned by Barbadians. Ambev, which owns banks, and Pine Hill Dairy. No other investment in automation at all. So we're pretty much stuck in 2.0. Well, the rest of the world, Singapore, Vietnam, everybody else have moved on to 4.0, which is digital smart factories. And now with artificial intelligence coming into the picture, they're now moving on to 5.0. But we are in a 2.0 scenario. We don't have the capital, so the just industrial transition also means that we have to speak to the capital investment in industry to help it to transition rapidly.
There have also been some suggestions on what could be done to adopt sustainable practices in the transport sector.
What is the infrastructure to support cycling? People don't cycle primarily because they don't feel safe. So how are we addressing those issues? The waste that is generated from the current system, how are we reusing that? How are we recycling that? Where are the new businesses that can come out of that? So really, and what happens in the future? Is it possible that we could have electric trams? What does that look like in terms of our infrastructure? How do we fuel those? So it's really just to stimulate the thought and the discussion about not just electric vehicles, not just replacing a gas guzzler with something that's cleaner and quieter, but we still have the same congestion, we still have all those other issues, and we generate a waste problem.
The symposium wraps up tomorrow evening. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Another earthquake recorded in the waters of Barbados, this time a minor one. According to the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies, the 3.5 magnitude quake struck at 5 minutes to 5 this morning. It was recorded 131 kilometers southwest of Bridgetown and 120 kilometers off Scarborough, Tobago. It struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. On April the 3rd, a moderate quake of magnitude 5.4 was recorded 314 kilometers east-northeast of Bridgetown. The Barbados Meteorological Services has warned sea users, including fishermen, to refrain from removing or tampering with its unmanned surface vehicles in the sea. It notes the USVs, which have clear markings painted in yellow and black, and meteorological instruments on board, are launched by the Met Office to monitor weather and marine conditions within Barbados' exclusive economic zone. This supports its weather and marine predictions. Mariners are therefore urged not to intercept or interfere with the vessels at any time, because doing so can cause or damage to the USVs and affect data collection.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
As I told you, it's time for sports as we're joined tonight by Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, UWI Blackbirds maintain their grip at the top of the Barbados Netball Association's Premier League with a 48-41 victory over Spooners Hill Firebirds when the action continued last night. CBC's Amar Goodrich-Boyce reports.
The crowd was watching attentively a battle of the birds at the netball stadium. UWI in black and yellow with possession up against Spooners Hill Firebirds. First half action, the impressive Demisha Crony bounce pass to Brianna Holder, who ups for Shonika Wharton, and that's way too easy. The Blackbirds cleared for takeoff. Well, Wharton decided to return the favor to Holder, who was showing good athleticism. She's never going to miss from there. Scored 11 from 17 attempts on the night. The Firebirds were looking to bring their own heat to the contest. Nice passes around the court before goal shooter Carrie-Ann Brathwaite produced. Yup, that's good. Firebirds goal attack Aisha Barrow had 13 from 17 attempts. This is one of those. The Firebirds definitely finding their groove. Silky smooth up the court from the Blackbirds. And look at this pass from Holder. Threads it through the eye of a needle for Wharton to put the finishing touches. Fantastic. She shot 27 from 38 attempts. The Firebirds were not prepared to let UWI extend their lead. Here is Brathwaite under no pressure and makes it count. Nevertheless, the half belonged to UWI, and Wharton made sure they had the advantage at the break, leading 26-17. Second half now, the Firebirds made a change in the goal circle, going for more height in Chantal Brathwaite, and she's on the money. UWI coming forward now. Crony links up with Akina Stout and Brianna Holder. Concentration written all over her face, and the fans appreciated it. This perhaps was one of the best moves for the Firebirds. Portrait in motion. Check out the movement from Brathwaite, and then the finish is brilliant. She had a whopping 19 goals from 23 attempts. Crony continued to provide the magic. No-look pass for Holder, who gifts it to Wharton. Smile on her face, and she's happy with that one. Wharton finished off the match in style with this goal as UWI Blackbirds flew to a 48-41 win over the Firebirds. Anmar Goodrich-Boyce, CBC Sports.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
In tonight's business report, the Caribbean Development Bank is calling creatives to action with the launch of the second phase of its Cultural and Creative Industries Innovation Fund program. But according to the CDB's acting head of private sector division, Lisa Harding, there will be numerous changes to this phase. She says the decision comes after an independent evaluation in December 2022 to determine the fund's relevance and progress made.
We recognized early on that there's a need for more project preparation support for applicants. The sector, there is weak capacity. We're really speaking in some instances around small MSMEs, micro businesses, who have never had to report to anyone, furthermore, a CDB. Right? So the reporting requirements, understanding the jargon, understanding the language, understanding what we need, that we have to satisfy our donors. We have to find a way to be able to break it down to them and also to get them on board and to buy into why it's necessary.
The fund was established in 2017 with an initial US $2.6 million from the CDB in support of the development of the creative industries, including fashion and contemporary design, visual arts, audio-visual, festivals and carnivals, and music across the region. Ms. Hardin says there will be greater inclusion of governmental support in project designs as the public sector needs to be included. There will also be more project implementation support for applicants and those awarded grants, online application systems, data analysis, and artificial intelligence for routine administrative processes. Time for the second half in sports. Damien.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, the champions are back home. The Barbados Baby Gems touched down at the Granny Adams International Airport last night to a warm reception from family, friends and Minister of Sports Charles Griffith after they captured the Jean-Pierre Caribbean Under-16 Netball Youth Championships held in St. Lucia for a third straight time. Led by goal shooter and the tournament's most valuable player, Kiana Hart, the young Gems outclassed their opponents to again end the tournament with an unbeaten record intact. Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and host St. Lucia were the other participating countries.
I'm very speechless, honestly. I just came there and do what I was trained to do. I wasn't expecting anything. To be quite honest, I wasn't expecting anything, but I'm very thankful. I won't say it was pressure, but at first it was very overwhelming at first, but I just had to compose myself. And it wasn't no pressure. I knew what we came there to do. We was trained, so it wasn't no pressure for me.
Head coach Cameron Greenidge says preparation paid off.
We were able to win because the girls had put in a lot of work. We started from September 16th, 2023, and we had various cuts along the way. We started with 40 of the strongest under-16 netballers in Barbados, and so we were able to bring it down to a competitive 15. We were able to get the 15 because I wanted to make sure that everyone who was there was given the opportunity to compete at the high level that I know that they could.
Two boats are tied for first place after day 2 of the Republic Bank 2024 Sir Charles Williams International Game Fishing Tournament at Port St. Charles. Both Fish Attack and Ocean Pearl have accumulated 3,000 points to lead the tournament with 1 day of competition to go. Eclipse is in third place with 2,250 points, while Screaming Eagle rounds out the top 4 boats with 1,750 points. Tomorrow is a rest day with the final day of competition set for Saturday.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen for the crew. To all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.